4th of July.
Explain the Viktor Arvidsson trade to me like I'm 4 years old.
Okay.
So here's what, by the way, here's what happened. The Predators have traded him to the LA Kings for draft picks.
A second and a third.
Of this year.
Correct? I think it's one. No, so it's a second this year, a third next.
Okay.
So, and they both belong to LA. So here's what teams did Vegas time around is they went to a team with all the leverage and they said, let's make a deal. And the team with all the leverage who gets to take someone anyway said, okay. And they got to set the market. They had the upper hand in everything, absolutely everything. Hey, you don't want us to take this guy? Well, it's going to cost Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith. You don't want us to take this guy? It's going to cost Marc-Andre Fleury and a second. You don't want to trade, or you don't want us to take this guy? It's going to cost this. It's going to cost that. So the strategy this time around, or at least with Nashville, appears to be take the team with all the leverage out of the equation. Right? Take Seattle out of the equation. Instead of convincing Seattle, hey, don't take this player and we're going to give you X, Y, and Z, you go to a team like the Kings who don't have nearly as much leverage. Like no one this summer is going to go, hey, LA, you get a free player from Nashville, right? So automatically they have less leverage. You go, hey, let's just make a deal. Let's just make a straight up deal. We got Viktor Arvidsson. And they decided they'll get more out of the Kings than they would out of Seattle. So people I saw in Nashville were talking about the Preds are going to try to do the 4-4 thing. So I was looking at who I would protect. So there's Roman Josi, who I have to, and I'm happy to.
Yeah.
There's Ryan Ellis, happy to do it. Eric Branson is a UFA. We don't need to worry about him. Matthias Ekholm is not a UFA until next year. Mm-hmm. I think in the next couple of weeks, we could actually see a Matthias Ekholm trade. Because if you trade him, then you could potentially do 7-3, which allows you to protect 10 players instead of 8. Right? So we go further down. Mark Borowiecki. Okay. Do you have to? No. Seattle might take him? Maybe. Yeah. Dante Fabro. You protect him? You took him with a top 20 pick in 2016, but he's 23 now. He's almost like a higher stakes Travis Dermott for them. So that to me is where that list ends. But up front, it's a very interesting conversation. And I don't know if I want to protect 7 guys because there's no move clauses there. There's Duchesne. I'm not going to lie. I think
wouldn't protect him.
I'd leave him exposed. Mm-hmm. He makes $8 million, which for his performance is far too much. There's Ryan Johansson.
Wouldn't protect him.
I would leave him exposed. $8 million, far too much. Philip Forsberg.
Would protect.
But there's another guy with only 1 year left. David Poile might be a very busy bee this summer. Ooh. Michael Granlund, UFA. So don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to click Forsberg. He's the first guy I'm clicking. Colton Sissons, might as well. Luke Cunnin, might as well. Rocco Grimaldi.
Why are you might as welling these guys?
Like I'm saying, like for protecting. I'm on the cap friendly website.
Yeah, no, but why? Like, should we be protecting those guys?
Oh, Jesse, this is part of the conversation, right? Like, so they have a ton of either UFAs or RFAs this year.
Okay.
Plus a bunch of guys expiring next year. The Preds have a ridiculous amount of flexibility. And
they probably could take on a forward or two from a team that needs to move on, like the Arvidsson thing.
So you dare Seattle to take Johansson or Duchesne and get those contracts off your books is what
I don't dare them. They're not going to do it. I leave them exposed to protect more valuable players.
Boy, if I'm Seattle, I don't hate picking up Duchesne, even though it's $8 million. I don't hate it.
Your cap is like it's free, you know.
Duchesne turned down a lot of teams for that Nashville deal, though.
From a
like he wanted to be in Nashville.
Yeah, you're looking at no matter what decision you make, whether it's on defense, with the 4-4 or the 7-3, you're not losing anyone of too much significance. And because you have all these guys with a year left, like I think we might have been too hard on David Poile not rebuilding this year, because they ended up making the playoffs anyway. And they have, like, if they want to go hard rebuild right now, after at least seeing what they have left in the tank, if they want to go hard rebuild right now, they're in a great spot. They absolutely can. So, and in net, they have UC Saros, who's an RFA. They'll protect him. And Pecorine, who's a UFA. They will not. So I think they were just doing this so they didn't lose a guy like Arvidsson or someone higher in the depth chart. Like they would have protected Arvidsson. But what about a guy like Kalle Järnkrok, right? Who's pretty good, low cap hit. I think they're just getting the most they can, and they're about to hit hard rebuild.
Does it mean, Steve, that they're able to then, because Seattle's got all the cards, right? If you're trying to dump salary. Do they get to be the team that's a little bit more on par, like the Kings were for them? Do they get to be what the Kings were to them for another team?
Can you say that one more time?
Well, okay, so you said you go to Seattle. Seattle set the table. They got all the cards in their favor. Let's say you're a team and you're just to name one, Vancouver, you're in cap trouble. And if Nashville is in the retool/rebuild stage, you go to them and say, I need to get rid of this contract. Seattle's costing me this. What will you charge?
Right. I don't think other teams can do that. I think other teams can do that once.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And this was the Kings' bullet. Right. So I'm looking at them. They're interesting too. There are going to be some big names exposed, I think. For example, Anze Kopitar. Well, heavens to Betsy. Of course you protect him. Dustin Brown?
No, I don't think you do. Did they protect him the last time? I don't think so.
I don't know. And now they got Arvidsson. They got Iafallo. They got Kempe. I'd probably leave Brendan Lemieux exposed. They got... There's going to be a lot of deals. Teams are going to, now the race is on over the next week and a half or so to get a deal like that, like the Arvidsson deal, done with someone who, doesn't completely have all the cards in their favor. But I think a lot of big contract, like think of all the guys you saw on waivers this year, and teams left them on waivers because they knew they weren't going to get taken. Or they were hoping they would get taken, right? Now you have an opportunity. There's this magical team with no cap hit, literally none. There's this magical team coming in. You're going to leave guys exposed. The Preds, I would leave both Johansson and Duchesne exposed if I was them.
Yep. I can see that.
It's and like, we talked about like Nugent Hopkins and the Oilers, right? And what is Buffalo going to do with the cap space they get from trading Eichel? Well, both those markets have trouble attracting free agents. Nashville, they don't have that problem. You lose one of those two, wonderful. You bring in another guy.
Yep.
Or
maybe
you
Jack
don't
Eichel.
lose those two. Maybe. Can you imagine Eichel, Johansson, Duchesne? That's a lot of money.
If you're Kevin Adams, would you not take it? Like, I mean, I don't know if Matt Duchene's got a no trade, but if he doesn't, like, let's say they called you and they said, okay, we want to flip guys here. You don't hate Matt Duchene at $8 million, do you? To build somewhat of a team around with some young guys.
I think you need somebody younger.
Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you do.
They just need good players.
They need players.
They literally need players. They just need good players.